Oh, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the guys that have had fantastic starts to the season, kind of out of nowhere, and whether or not I think they're frauds in the sense that, oh, it's just a flash in the pan, a couple games, or kind of for real, maybe not keeping up the pace that they're currently going at, but are going to have like breakout seasons. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. The first guy that we need to talk about is Jordan Binnington. He has a .92 goals against average, a 969, and as a result, the Blues have a 1-0-1 record. And I'm actually going to go with for real. I'm not, obviously, I don't think he's going to keep this up, have the greatest goalie season of all time. He is going to regress a decent amount. But do I think that he can be for real in the sense of an average, maybe even above average starting goalie compared to the last 2 years where he's been one of the worst starters in the league? I think it's definitely possible. He's not up there in age in terms of, I think he's 30 years old. So he definitely still has some game in him. And when you look at it, yes, he was fantastic his first year, but can he rebound into that sophomore and third year that he had around the 9-10, a 2.5, 2.6? I think it is possible. I think it is possible that he could be around there, which is solid goaltending. That's about top 15 plays following 2 seasons. Because, yeah, he obviously showed that he has a lot of talent. He just had a lot of distractions on and off the ice, being an absolute goon, getting suspended. He's a pretty dirty player. So if he can just focus on hockey, not let any of that outside noise get to him like it maybe has the past 2 years, I think it is possible that he could have a decent season. I'm not saying he's going to win the Vezina, not saying he's even going to be top 5, but I think he is for real in the sense that he has the talent to actually have a pretty solid season because, again, he's not up there in age. He's not regressing massively. He just fell off the past 2 years, in part because the Blues defense was so bad. The Blues can kind of rise as a team. He can easily put up a 9-10 and a 2.7. I don't think that's that ridiculous. The next guy on the list is Alex Newhook. Alex Newhook has 3 goals in his first 3 games with the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to go with fake, though. Again, I don't think that he's going to like fake in the sense he's going to be a bottom 6 forward for the entire year. I think he's just in line for another 35, maybe 45 point season on the Montreal Canadiens because you look at it, it was a pretty lucky 3 goals in terms of expected goals. He only had 0.5 expected goals on the 6 shots that he's taken. That's the other thing. It's not like he has this high volume. He has 3 goals on like 13 or 14 total shots. He has 3 goals on 6 shots. So it's not even like he's getting a ton of looks where the volume might be able to lend him to score 25, maybe even sniffing 30 goals. It's not really the case with Newhook, and especially on that Montreal Canadiens team. That Slavkovsky, Doc, and Newhook line was looking very good, so I think he was on pace for like a mid-40s point season, but now Kirby Doc is obviously out for the entire year, which sucks for the Canadiens because I thought he was the best player on that line. As a result, it's going to be like Tanner Pearson or maybe Sean Monahan getting that elevation, who I don't think are better players than Kirby Doc. So that line as a whole is not going to be as good. So I think as a result, Newhook will fall off a little bit. He's not playing top power play as well, so that doesn't bode well in terms of him racking up a lot of points. He is playing about 16 minutes a night, which is pretty encouraging, but I would say Alex Newhook, if I had to put a number on the amount of points that he gets this year, I think like 37, 38, which is an improvement. He was only around 32 the past 2 years in Colorado. So I still do think he takes another positive step, but an actual breakout, I don't really see it happening. I would go a fraud right now. Next up, Brady Shay. He is leading the entire league in terms of defenseman points with 6 points in 4 games. Fraud. I don't mean to rain on the parade, but just looking at Carolina's defense core, he's clearly not the number 1 guy. They have so many very good offensive defensemen in terms of Brett Burns, Brett Pesce. Tony DeAngelo is brought in to be a power play quarterback, offensive defenseman. So I just can't see him keeping this up. Again, the past 2 years, I could see him having a similar season of around high 30s points. Last year, he had 18 goddamn goals. I would say he's going to go for like 35, maybe 40 points. But in terms of really exploding, I don't see it happening. He's only been playing 19.55 a night. So that's like second pair minutes. There's just too much offensive talent on this Carolina team. I'm sorry. Like, Brett Burns is going to get his 60 points. Tony DeAngelo was not brought in there to not play in offensive situations, not play on the power play. Brady Shay is not going to get a lot of power play looks in terms of even strength. He's going to be on that second, maybe even third pair. So when looking at Brady Shay, I really just can't see it. I don't think that this is like a Brandon Montour last year. Brandon Montour walked into a very good situation in the sense that the Panthers were losing were lost Uyghur, and then they needed Brandon Montour to elevate. The Carolina Hurricanes brought in a shit ton of defensemen, Orlov and D'Angelo, this summer. So if anything, Shay's opportunity is going to go down. Maybe with this hot start, it's going to stay about the same. But Carolina has such a loaded defense core. I think they're going to spread it out. Look at Florida. That number one power play spot was up for grabs with Ekblad being so injury prone. Montour just ran with that. I don't think Brady Shay, who is still a very good defenseman, I don't see him running with it and getting over 45 points or something like that. So right now, I'm going to go with Fraud. Still a very good player. Next up, Evan Rodriguez. I almost said Aaron Rodriguez, talking about Aaron Ekblad. But Evan Rodriguez, I am going to go with for real. He has 5 points in 3 games. Again, don't think that he's going to be putting up 140 pace or whatever that equates to. But when you look at Evan Rodriguez, he has been given that very good opportunity, not like a Brady Shay. Right now, he's playing with Barkov as his main center in either Verhaeghe or Reinhart on the right wing, I believe. And we're looking at the Verhaeghe-Barkov line of lines that have played at least 17 minutes. The Verhaeghe-Barkov-Rodriguez line leads the entire league in expected goals percentage right now. So if he does play with this elite talent, I think if he was in like a third line role, playing with like Anton Lundell, I'd say pump the brakes a little bit. 5 points in 3 games is going to come down. But if he is playing with Verhaeghe, who had 40 goals last year, Barkov should be 90, maybe even 100-point pace this year. He can easily go for around maybe 60 points, maybe 65 points. I don't think that that's that ridiculous, especially when you consider with Evan Rodriguez, he was an analytical darling last year, absolute analytical darling. And even last year, he had 39 points in 69 games, which is about low 50s. And that was on the Colorado Avalanche when he wasn't really given an opportunity on their top line with McKinnon, with Rantanen. So when looking at him potentially playing on that number one line in Florida, or maybe getting bumped down to play with Tkachuk and Bennett, he's going to have a fantastic opportunity. He slowly got him better every single year. He's like a Zach Hyman type. I think, Rodriguez wasn't even drafted, so he has slowly been building. So yes, he is 30, but he's gotten better every single year of the past 4. He had like 17 points in 55 games 3 years ago. Then he had something like 29 and 50. Then he had 39 and 69. So that progression just keeps on happening. And with that opportunity, he's playing 18 minutes a night. I think Evan Rodriguez is for real right now, but obviously more as a passenger on that line. But I think his points rate, if you're in a fantasy league, maybe snag him. Next up, in terms of fraud or for real, Tav Teran. I am going to go with for real. Tav Teran has been a very underrated player the past couple of years. This year, he has 4 goals and 1 assist, kind of coming out of nowhere after a down year. He had 12 goals and 37 points in 68 games last year. So people are kind of surprised by this start, but they shouldn't be, because Tav Teran in the prior 4 seasons had 219 points in 248 games. That is 72-point pace for those keeping track at home. So when looking at Teravainen, I think last year was more of a down year than, say, the new norm. He has been this very good mid to low 70-point guy on the Carolina Hurricanes the past couple of years. Last year was just battling through injuries. So I think, again, 4 goals, 1 assist in 4 games, definitely going to balance it out a little bit. He's not going to be putting up 90-plus point pace. But would it shock me if he's 75, 77, even 79 points? No, it probably wouldn't. I think he easily can. He's only 29 years old. He's not really, although it feels like he's been in the NHL forever, because he was on like the Blackhawks back in like 2015. He's been in the league forever. But he's only 29 years old, so he's still pretty much in the midst of his prime. And on a Carolina team that doesn't have Svechnikov right now, I'm not really too sure when he's going to come back. He's going to have a big opportunity. And then lastly, we got Corey Perry. Corey Perry has 1 goal, 3 assists, and 4 points in 4 games played. I'm going to go with fake. I don't think Corey Perry is going to pop off out of nowhere and get like a 55-point season. I think that one's pretty obvious. He has had a pretty decent opportunity in Chicago. He's playing around 17 minutes a night, playing number 1 power play. I think eventually they are probably going to promote Lucas Reichel to that number 1 power play just to give their young guys more run. Bedard, Reichel start building up that chemistry. But yeah, I tweeted it regarding Corey Perry. Is there anybody in the league in a more fun situation this year than Corey Perry? Dude went from a 4th line grinder where he had like 22 points last year to playing 17 minutes a night, top power play with 0 expectations and pressure. This is a guy that's been on fantastic teams for the past decade and a half. Every game is a must win and will most likely get dealt to a top tier contender at the end. So yeah, I think Corey Perry, Could he put up mid 30s, maybe even high 30s? It's definitely possible. I don't see him breaking out for like 50 plus points at his age. He is a solid middle sixer at this point, but he is kind of fake. He is kind of a fraud. But that's the video as a whole. So Corey Perry fake, Evan Rodriguez real, Alex Newhook fraud, Teuvo real, Shay fake, and Binnington kind of real. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Who are some other guys that have had hot starts? Comment them down below, and I'll let you know if I think they're frauds or for real. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.